everyone, and welcome back to the classic, but also modern Comic Vault. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
Eric and I are going to talk about several more comic book things, mostly by ourselves, but first we're going to tag team the first arc of Nick Spencer's The Amazing Spider-Man. This is the current run that is going on right now, and this feels like just yesterday, but we're already, Eric just mentioned to me, in like issue 17 or 18, and I didn't realize this book was double shipping.
Yeah, it's double shipping, but the trades aren't, so I can't read the next story arc until next month, which kind of bothers me.
Like, they're just now getting around to 6?
Yes.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
To issue 6.
That's a terrible release schedule for trades for a double shipping book. They're releasing it like it's monthly, but it's not.
Also, didn't Marvel used to be the company that was better at about this than DC?
Yes.
DC used to be a year behind. During 52, they were a year behind.
Yeah.
Court of the Owls came out like a year after it was over.
No, I think.
Or maybe that one they were.
I think New 52 is when they fixed it.
Oh, is
right
it? Okay.
Before that is when like I was reading Morrison Trade and like
I thought there was
like
during 52 too, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, so I have talked a little bit about this before. I guess the both of us have. I think we
both read the first like 2 issues, and so we get back to it when it was.
Yeah, and I remember. Like, while I was reading this, I kept thinking, oh man, I'm going to have a hard time not accidentally making a lot of statements I made before, particularly in comparing this to the TOS episode, The Enemy Within. But I will briefly mention some things that he just directly rips off that story that story from. I think intentionally, I think lovingly, it's fun.
I'm pretty sure there's a Star Trek reference in the issue.
There he is.
Where he talks about that, right?
Not about Enemy Within.
Oh, I thought he mentioned Enemy Within.
I don't think so. I think there is a Star Trek reference, but I think it was more generic than that.
Okay.
No, it would have been really nice to get a good, like, I'm Captain Kirk or something, but yeah.
Do your issues list a name for this arc? I'm just curious.
What is the...
well, that's what I want to know.
It's Back to Basics,
It's
right?
Back to Basics.
Yeah.
Well, that's issue 0, right? Or is that issue 1? That's a pretty
I think this is 0. Yeah, but it's Back to Basics, yeah.
Okay. I didn't...
That's how it was solicited. They made a big deal out of that, because they were trying to bring back people who didn't like Slott's run, I'm sure.
Well, not just run, but like that, like, Parker Incorporated kind of a thing.
Yes, of course, yeah. And so it's like, you know, Spider-Man is more or less back to the way you remember it, and we're going to do all the key things. We're going to try to put him back in school, and he's going to be...
Which was a great way to put him back in school.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. And he's going to be... He's going to be poor again, and he's going to have a hard time paying rent, and he's going to be back with Mary Jane. And I like the maturity of that. I'm jumping all over the ways. I like how mature that relationship is, where, like, Spencer knows, and like, doesn't, you know, color code this or anything. Like, he knows that is a couple that's been on again, off again for like 6 decades. Not that long. But,
at least 3.
Like, when they get back together, they don't obviously like get married right away, but like it's immediately a mature relationship. They're not tiptoeing around it. Like, they're dating like they've been dating for years. That's how you do that. Because I was really worried that it would be like, okay, we gotta take baby steps. We better not rush this. Like, I like
they're basically living together again. Like, they're not, but like it's like that.
Yeah. No, I like that. That is a relationship that makes sense to basically just step back in.
Actually, while I was reading this, I thought I was going to have a major criticism, and then when I got to the final issue, I was like, oh no, he covered that. Which is... I guess I'll just jump to the end.
Sure.
You put Peter and Mary Jane back together, and then you immediately don't have her in like any of the issues, and he doesn't explain to her what's happening. And then in the last issue of the arc, he goes, I'm so used to not being with Mary Jane, I'm going to go talk to her about this.
Yeah.
I really liked that was almost... like part of the arc of the arc.
It's from a character place.
Yeah.
You know the real reason I think he does it? It's because it would be really awkward to have her talking to one half of him.
Yeah.
And when they put him back together, like...
Well, but she does talk to just one half of him. Like, he comes to her and says, like...
Not a lot, though.
Well, no, I mean in that final issue, when he comes forward and is like, this is what's going on.
I know, but it's not constantly throughout. Mm-hmm. And if it was... there'd be this, almost inherently you'd be forced to do like a dramatic subplot about it, and I like that he doesn't get gimmicky with it.
Well, I don't think he should have hidden it in the first place. That was my issue. Was like, okay, you just got back with Mary Jane, you're not going to tell her about this. I'm not saying they should have interacted more.
See, I didn't feel like he was hiding it. I felt like he just didn't think to mention it.
And that's kind of how it's played. But like, as I'm reading through this,
I guess that is kind of
weird.
weird.
Aren't you talking to Mary Jane about this? And then he finally does.
But I think I forget where that scene happens. Is it before or after he knows exactly what it is? Because
I think it's after.
Okay.
Because still, I'd mentioned that I'm two people now.
That's true. No, that's fair. But like, you'd especially want to mention it when you're like, I'm only half of myself.
Yeah.
You know, like I got the responsibility and he got the powers.
He's literally power and responsibility.
Yeah. And you know, that should be too much, but it's not.
It's not.
I like it.
Nope. Yep. This is something that could happen in a 70s comic.
That's what I like about it. It's just as over the top as it needs to be.
Yep.
Like it's unabashedly comic book, and it's unabashedly Stan Lee, but more and a lot of other things, right? Like it's not just him. Back to Basics is not Spencer trying to do Stan Lee like Slott sometimes.
No, it's him trying to do Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't. It feels, everything about it feels genuine and authentic to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's got a great voice for Peter. And Mary Jane.
Like it should
buy them together.
I like her a lot in this. I feel like it should be too silly that the Spider-Man side doesn't have the memory about Uncle Ben, and that's just from a thematic place. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
And it's such a good reveal.
Yeah.
Where he's like, "Who now?" And one of the best lines in it, and I'm sure Slott or someone else has to have made this joke somewhere, but I've never read it in a Spider-Man comic, and I've been waiting forever to see this in a Spider-Man comic. The Uncle Ben's Minute Rice joke just floored me. I've been waiting for somebody to do that joke. It was great. Like, why do you keep bringing up a delicious brand of rice? It's great. I love that. This is very funny.
That's my biggest issue with the book.
I was worried that it would be more of an issue for me, which is why I might not be being critical enough of it. So you think it's too jokey?
I think it's too jokey.
All right.
Okay. So my biggest issue is because Spider-Man is a jokey character. There's no way around that. Like I'm not asking for Spider-Man not be jokey. My issue is that other people are jokey around him, and there are jokes where I'm like, and sometimes it's like that's funny. I don't need this here. Mysterio is inspired by seeing Splash, the Tom Hanks mermaid movie. Yeah. That's his motivation.
Yeah.
That's legitimately really funny. I don't like that that's his backstory now.
Because it makes it feel like a comedy book.
It makes it feel like a comedy book.
And it's more glaring in an era of Marvel where it feels like too many books are comedy books.
Yes. And all of the villains talk like they're comedy characters. And again, a lot of it's funny. I love when Spider-Man...
And a lot of that is because that's what he's written before. Because the other big Spider-Man thing he did was Superior Foes,
and
right?
In his defense, yes, and Superior Foes is great. But again, Superior Foes came out at a period where that wasn't everything Marvel was publishing. So I don't think I'd be more resistant to Superior Foes if it came out today. Because it's just that, like, it felt like a unique thing when it was there. And now it feels like what Marvel does.
Like it's taken over.
So
it's a fad.
There's also I don't mind it as much with some of the other villains because they're minor villains, like Black Ant. Who cares?
Yeah.
And like the Ringer and somebody else, like when they're like, oh man, he seems like he's a really good place. I really like that scene where they're robbing the rare books.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was really funny.
It's really funny.
Yep.
I really like that. But
Spider-Man's like giving him advice. Yeah.
Mysterio's not a C-lister. He's one of Spider-Man's major villains and one of the ones that get created by Ditko.
Honestly, it's such a throwaway scene. I didn't even think about it. Like,
I mean,
you should point out how minor that scene is, though. Like,
it's him giving his backstory, entire reason for being Mysterio.
I get it, but it's so throwaway. Like,
sure. I don't know, but I feel like there's a bunch of...
Wait, that was his whole reason for being Mysterio?
That's the reason he gets... Yes, because what we find...
Is that first issue?
Yeah. Mysterio's backstory, according to this, is that he saw Splash and was so motivated by that he was going to make his own movies. When he couldn't do that, he then became Mysterio and played out his screenplays with real people.
Yeah.
I don't...
You think it's too silly just because of the movie selection? Like...
Yeah, because it's a silly comedy with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, okay.
Also inconsistent with, like, other ways we've characterized him, like, in his backstory, but, like, whatever.
I read that scene wrong.
Or you just read it different. Or maybe I read it wrong.
Yeah,
I don't know. And Mendel Strom has a bit where he...
he's a little too silly.
He's a little too silly.
In places, yeah.
But then there's a moment in the first issue when Spider-Man jumps up into the alien thing, and Mysterio's just like monologuing. Where he's like, "Soon the heroes will all see that I, Mysterio, am the one that defeated them." And no one says anything.
Yeah.
And I was so happy that Spider-Man didn't jump up and be like, villains always monologue, like something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it dances.
We don't have to always comment on regular comic book things.
Yes. And it kind of dances that line. Like, every once in a while, I think it steps a toe over, and I'm like, I don't need that. And that's what that Mysterio thing is.
Some of it can be taste issue, right? Because, like, yeah, it's hard to decide where to cross that line sometimes. Because you're right, you don't want it to feel like everybody is just a mouthpiece for comedy, and, like, it's only dramatic when we suddenly have decided now it's dramatic. Mm-hmm. Which, with our modern sensibilities, Stan Lee's books can read that way. But, like, we've gotten past that. We shouldn't write like that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time... That's not to say that you can't have, like, natural comedy that comes from a character who is still in character.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to see if you agree with me on it, because, again, I think it can be just kind of taste issue and where you think that line should be. And my line is maybe in a different place than your line.
And I'm hypersensitive to it because of everything that Marvel's publishing right now.
Precisely, and I was hypersensitive to it until I read the first issue and was impressed that Spencer, like, gets what Spider-Man is, and that the story was compelling, and I may be, like, giving it too much of a pass because I thought it was going to be completely a comedy book, and it's not, you know what I mean? And like, characters are consistently characterized, and I don't feel like every 2 pages they suddenly have a different motivation, like I did sometimes with Slott, you know? So, like, my standards were a little bit low, and I read that Zero issue, and I initially didn't like it, and so I was really impressed when I read one, and I was like, it's good. I didn't read it this time.
Okay. Because rereading it, I was like, oh, this comedy plays better than I thought it did.
Yeah. Weird. I forgot to look at it. But anyway, so I brought it out here because I have it, but I forgot to read it. Anyway, Mendel Strom has this amusing line which maybe does read a little bit like this is a thing that a writer always thought, so he finally put it in the book. But I liked it, where he's like, "Why the hell am I not? Do I not call myself the Goblin Master?" I thought that was really funny.
No, I think that's fine. No, I don't have a problem with that. Some of his other stuff is a little too jokey and like, I feel like... Because here's the thing. Unlike Slott, I think almost all the comedy is funny. It's just I take pause...
Sometimes I don't know if it's appropriate for the material.
Yeah. Now, this is a lighter story, and Spencer's talked about how, like, he wants his Spider-Man to be elastic. Like, Spider-Man can go dark and Spider-Man can go really light. And he wants it to start in a much lighter place, and he'll go back and forth. And that's fine. I just, occasionally, it feels a little too jokey in that... I feel like in old Marvel comics, there was always a sense of fun where the books took themselves seriously, but when you look at the captions and stuff, they know that you're reading a comic book. They're having fun with you. I feel like sometimes we've lost that, and the characters know that you're reading a comic book, and they're riffing. And it happens every once in a while. I don't want to make a huge thing out of this, even though we already have, but, like...
Yeah.
I like most of the comedy.
It doesn't kill the book.
It doesn't kill the book. I like most of I'm excited to read the next book.
And at least it is funny. At least if it has to be there, you are entertained by it.
At least I like the sense of humor that he's brought to the book.
I'll complain that there are a few places here and there. I don't have immediate examples. I feel like there are a few places here and there where Spider-Man is given Deadpool dialogue. Happens every now and again. It's not terrible.
Okay, so I have a read that Power Spider-Man is Dan Slott's Spider-Man.
Say it again.
I have a read on this book that the
Spider-Man with powers.
Yeah. The Spider-Man with power is Dan Slott's.
Just say the Spider-Man half. You know.
Yeah. The Spider-Man half is Dan Slott's Spider-Man.
Interesting.
That's kind of like after like 2 issues, I'm like.
But I'm not talking about when he's that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think full together Spider-Man is sometimes has
okay, because I think flying around with a Tri-Sentinel is pretty Deadpool-y.
It is, but that's okay with...
I don't hate it, but, like, that felt a little too far.
Yeah, but the idea that without the responsibility side, Spider-Man is like a kid-friendly Deadpool is fine.
Okay. Sure.
Like, that makes a lot of sense.
No, you're
so, like,
wrong.
as long as Peter Parker's side is out of him, he can be as Deadpool as he wants him to go until he's, like, murdering people.
Yeah.
I guess he could have done that. It would have been a dark story, but, like...
Yeah, I don't know if you come back from that, because they're both technically him.
Yeah. Well, and also...
And I don't want to read 50 issues of Peter being sad they killed somebody, even though he didn't do it.
Yeah, and if he's just, like, irresponsible, he could maybe accidentally kill a person, but he's not likely to, like, pull a trigger or something.
He could be finding somebody on the roof and, like, web him off and just let him go.
That's true. That's true. Sure. No,
Happens all the time.
You just need to imagine when you're playing PS4 Spider-Man that you're the Spider-Man half without Peter Parker.
Yeah.
But I like that the Spider-Man side without the Peter Parker side reads like him when he first gets his powers in the Stan Lee run and he like goes on TV shows and stuff.
Yeah, no, I like that too. I also like that. I feel like that often gets forgotten. Like, and I think part of that's because of the movie, and also like no animated series ever does it. But I feel like we always think he goes from Uncle Ben's death to being full-time superhero. There's an issue or two where he's still doing celebrity appearances.
Yeah. I also love that it's not just his dark side like it is in Enemy Within with TOS. That there's a distinction made between irresponsibility and evil, where it's not just, or not evil, but like in TOS it's like the primal side and the like feeling caring side, and I like it in that too. I showed you that episode, right?
Yes, we watched that episode.
I'm glad you saw that. I like
think
it
shortly after this came out.
Yeah, because I was like, I want you to see what he's playing with, because he's absolutely just doing that episode. In that, it's that Kirk can't be a leader without his primal side, which I think is really interesting. Here, it's he maybe doesn't lose enough the Peter Parker side when Spider-Man goes. That's kind of a complaint I have, where like he doesn't have his powers anymore, and he's not as quippy, I guess.
But he also doesn't have his smarts.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, he loses all the science, too.
Yeah, but it kind of just affects his skills and not his personality. Like, with Kirk, it's, I'm insecure and I don't even know what to do with myself without that side. With Peter, it's, like it doesn't affect his mind that much.
No, it does. It does feel like he's normal Peter Parker without his powers.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
And like, we talk about it, we kind of covered it a little bit at the end, but I wish it affected him more, where toward the end, it's, without me, you don't know how to have fun, and you're too, like, stressed out all the time. It doesn't affect him, though. It should make it harder for him to accomplish anything. You know? Sorry, what were you saying?
Well, no, I was gonna say, maybe that's how you bring Mary Jane. She's like, you're not acting like yourself.
Yeah.
Look, I know you're always stressed out, but you're too stressed out.
Yeah, it should have crippled him.
Emotionally.
But I also... Right, he loses his legs immediately. Without the other Spider, I just fall down!
The other Spider-Man's just the legs, but it's got all the powers and the science smarts, and he's just the top half.
I once had 6 arms. now I have no arms! But one thing I am really impressed with, because we often... And I just think he compensated too far the other way. Often when we do this story, I don't pretend like TOS is the only place that does it, but a lot of things come after that. When we do the Enemy Within thing, we often kind of forget, even if we make a story point out of it, that the other half isn't just bad, evil you. And when he puts them back together, one of the coolest things I think he does in this is when he puts them back together, he's having memories from both versions, and is able to put it all together now. And sometimes he'll be like, I forgot all about this from one side, and then he'll do it from the other side. We don't forget the Spider-Man side. Yeah. And he's putting the thoughts together, like all of his internal monologue is from both sides, and it's awesome.
I also really like that.
That I have never seen done before.
Nope, I thought that was super cool.
That was really sophisticated, and it means he learned something, and there's like a real character arc. And I like that the two characters had a character arc, and you put them together.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, I also like that the title's not just we're going smaller, we're going more grounded. Like, it's not just back to basics. Like, we're doing Spider-Man right again. Like, at first, when we were reading this when we read the first couple issues when they came out, I was like, that's a weird choice for your first storyline. Like you're gonna open your big new Spider-Man run with this. I know he would never ever admit it. I feel like this arc
we deconstructed it in a fun way, right? We split them apart so that we could see the basics of both of like Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
I feel like this is a response to the past decade of Spider-Man comics.
I think this too.
And I think we did this to re-examine and like, no, this is what Spider-Man is. And then
he felt like he had to prove himself.
Yeah.
Is part of it, but he did it in like a really fun way. And here's the thing: when I first saw that title, I rolled my eyes because I was like, "That's."
We always say that. Fresh start.
No, that wasn't my problem.
Oh, okay.
It after Slott, after complaints that me and other people have made about Slott, that sounds pretentious.
Okay. You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you go, okay, this thing that this guy who had this big popular run did for 10 years. I'm gonna bring back to what it's supposed to be. That sounds so pretentious until you read it.
Sure. But he did bring him back to what he
But he did, yeah. No, but I just didn't... But the problem is I read the Zero issue, and I was like, you're trying too hard, and I thought this whole arc was going to read like he's trying too hard, and like it was going to be basically Slott again, but just with Spider-Man in more of his regular status quo. And it wasn't.
I'm kind of bummed you didn't reread the Zero issue, because...
Yeah, I should have forgotten.
When I read it here... I was already won over because I already knew I liked Nick Spencer on Spider-Man. And I wanted to know if going back to it, not in that, all right, you're coming after Slott, like, not as hypersensitive. I was curious to see if you liked it better the second time.
I'll look at it again later.
You know what's nice? Having good Spider-Man again.
I know.
And also,
I know.
There's a sense of continuity in this book that is really nice. So Bug Demon guy, who talks to Mysterio, and he says at the end of the first issue, he's like, I pulled you out of hell, and you still owe me, and that's why we're doing this.
Did you think that was going to be Mephisto?
I still don't know who he is. He could be.
They showed him, and he's not Mephisto.
Oh, but he's got like bandages on.
Oh, okay.
He has like no eyes.
He has no eyes. Yeah.
I assume he's someone. I have a theory.
He could be a new character.
I feel like we're playing it like a mystery, but you might be right.
We are playing it like a mystery, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a reveal of somebody we've seen before.
It would be cool if it's a real nobody, because Steve Ditko liked to do that. We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, yeah.
But I had a theory. I can't remember. I feel like I have a theory. I've
got a theory.
Yeah. But no. So you don't know this.
Is it a dancing demon?
I have a theory. I can't remember what it is.
He's still saying I have a theory. Is it bunnies? It could be bunnies.
George Stacy? No. It could be George Stacy. No, I have a theory that someone that...
Could be bunnies.
I have a theory that someone that died, and it's Peter's fault, but I can't remember who it is. I can't remember exactly what I was thinking. I was like, oh, maybe it's this person. And wouldn't that be interesting? But no, so... I'm going to tangent here for a second. So, he says to Mysterio, I'm the one that brought you out of hell. So, going back, at the end of Guardian Devil, Mysterio blows his brains out. Like Craven at the end of Craven's last time. Mysterio kills himself.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Okay.
I've reviewed that, but I forgot that's how that ends.
So, we get a new Mysterio for a little bit, and then over in front of the neighborhood, Spider-Man, Peter David starts doing a Mysterio thing with the new Mysterio, and it kind of implies that Mysterio's in hell, and there's like a whole thing with that.
Oh, weird.
That doesn't get resolved because that book kind of ends because all of the Spider-Man books ended when we did Brand New Day. In Brand New Day, when they did a storyline called The Gauntlet, Dan Slott brings Mysterio back. And Dan Slott says...
And that was one of Slott's first things, right?
Slott's part of that rotating team. The Gauntlet's kind of at the end of that, but yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know where it fell, but I read some of that when it happened. That was just before I started regularly buying again.
Most people don't agree with me. I really like Shed, the lizard story in that. Part of that's because that's the first time I ever saw Bocciolo on Spider-Man. I love Bocciolo on Spider-Man.
Wasn't that the period with the Spider-Girl backup features?
I don't know because I only ever read it in trade.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm right about that.
Okay,
they went back to Mayday Parker and they did a backup feature.
Okay.
In those, and I think that's collected somewhere. But.
So when Dan Slott brings Mysterio back, Dan Slott being the genius.
That was Web of, which was going at the same time.
Okay.
That's what it. I think I'm right about that. I think that's what it was. Sorry. Sorry.
Dan Slott being the genius master of continuity that he is, and just deep understanding of character goes, because he just has Mysterio there. Quentin Beck Mysterio. Well, Quentin Beck Mysterio's dead. And
did you forget?
And he's in hell.
Did editorial not care?
Dan Slott, comes in and goes, guys, he's the master of illusions. You don't think he faked his death? That was Dan Slott's explanation.
No, I don't.
And then
Not
this guy shows up.
He blew his brains out.
Yeah, and then this guy shows up and says, I pulled you out of hell. We're going back. We're undoing what Dan Slott did.
Yeah. Wow.
I love that.
No, that's great.
You know what else I love?
And also, can I say this?
Yeah,
real quick? Because this is part of
absolutely.
this. He will make logical plot points out of things that Slott pretty clearly just didn't think of. Now, it's possible that it's mentioned somewhere because I didn't read all of Slott, but I would be very surprised if Slott actually dealt with the fact that when Peter Parker comes back and gets his body back, that he just that he just goes with that diploma.
I actually have read that issue. He just goes, he basically looks at the wall and is like, huh, didn't have that before.
Yeah, this treats it like that was kind of not a good thing to do because you're using somebody else's work and you didn't actually get that for yourself, and so he's paying for a thing that Slott didn't even think was a problem.
Yep.
That's pretty great.
I also think we're setting something up.
But he's so classy about it. Spencer's not disrespectful to Slott either.
No, he acknowledges that it happened, but we're okay, we're moving past it.
But he's also not making fun of it. He's not thinking, look how stupid this is.
No. There's a thing that I think is coming. So I think that
he probably makes that run look better, honestly. When we read more of this or get to the end of it, my guess is you'll go back to Slott and it works better before you want to just.
No, I'm not going to read 600 issues of Spider-Man.
No,
I'm not going to reread 600 issues of Spider-Man.
No, I'm not saying when you do. I'm saying if you did.
I don't hate Superior. Superior's fun. It's got. You have to put your stupid hat on, but it's fun. So I think he's fixing everything wrong with Spider-Man. Everything I've had issue with Spider-Man for the past 10 years. I think we're setting up once again Aunt May learning.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because we have that scene. I love that scene where she's
it's kind of dumb that she doesn't already know, right?
And that it's almost disrespectful that he hasn't told her. Because he has this thing where he's talking also I'm pretty sure she got kidnapped at the end of Slott's run, and she doesn't know why. There's no he's putting her life in danger by her not knowing, and he
as much or more than he would be.
Yeah, they should be prepared. She make Laurie Strode in the new Halloween.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
But no,
not to be confused with Halloween.
Yeah. Or Halloween by Rob Zombie.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There are now how many of those?
There are 3.
No, how many Halloween movies total? And 3 of them have the same title. 9, 10. I used to know this.
I think it's 12 now. I think it's 12 now.
It's Halloween 1 through 6, and then
H2O
and Resurrection. That's 8, and then 2 Rob Zombie movies.
Yep.
And Halloween.
10, 11. So
there's 11.
Okay.
Right? So 11. So a quarter of them have the same title.
You know what else I loved in this? That because this was my original point where I was like, you know what else I love? And then I talked about the Aunt May.
I just don't think we talk about Halloween enough, honestly.
I agree. Well, I mean, we had a whole video on Halloween, and we had a whole video about Halloween, and then the sequels, and we very briefly touched on Halloween, in that video. 2 things that I want to mention before we. Oh, also, by the way, he names this thing, which apparently is a super deep pull, and it is named in one place, and it's in the 90s.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah. So
I was wondering if it had a name in the first, at the very beginning.
It doesn't get named till the 90s. There's a random issue where it gets named.
I can't remember what it is. The name it gives it sounds
other than Justice.
I almost did that too. The name that it has, besides Justice, sounds like a thing the '94 series would have done.
Yes. Yes, it does. And I mean, I think it's probably at post the 94 series.
Well, and it gives it a name too. That's like the
Neogenic Recombinator.
Neogenic Recombinator. See, I was right there. I got Recombinator first
Because everything is neogenic.
Everything is neogenic. It's a nightmare.
I do.
It's an absolute nightmare.
It's a great fake science word. Neogenic. It's really good. Okay, so real quick.
He's lucky that Deep Pool name doesn't sound like outdated or stupid.
I mean, it's from the 90s. It's not from 1965.
No, the 90s usually makes it worse.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so I love. This is going to seem minor, but it's not in the way comics are written, and basically the way comics have been written since Bendis did Daredevil.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you know this. I love this. It ruined everything. Everyone's trying to do Daredevil for like 10 years.
Yeah, and we already had that with Miller, right? Where like people kept trying to do Miller, and then they were trying to do Bendis.
But not tonally. They're like, I want to do a serious run where my superhero almost never fights anyone, barely wears his costume, and the story's super decompressed. And like, there's like a decade of that. What this does that I love is we bring back really minor subplots.
Yeah.
Every issue opens with this thing,
and we pay them off.
Well, without the Kraven thing. That's what I'm saying is every issue
I see
opens.
What you're saying. I see what you're saying. I thought you meant like the Boomerang thing.
No,
you know,
no.
things like that are really nice, right? Where like you set up a character and it looks like he's just playing. This is what I thought you were talking about. And he's just playing for comic relief, and then like you find a way to get him in the story later.
So
you know, like we use him for something.
I have a theory that I won't know until I've read more of this.
He feels like an Ant-Man character.
Yes, he does. I have a theory, but I won't know until we've read more of this. So there is a way that old comic books are structured, which is if you read Dennis O'Neill's book on writing comics, he talks about this. Where if you have 20-page comic, your main story is 16 of those pages, and then you have a subplot that you devote like 2 or 3 pages to, and then you have a B plot and you have a C plot you give 1 page to. And if it works completely, it's like this endless loop of, and then the B story becomes the A story, and the C story becomes the B story, and that. So
we don't do that a lot anymore.
No,
but you're right. At the end of most of these issues, we're setting up Kraven, and we're like, or the beginning of them.
Yeah.
You keep opening with an issue, and you're like, why am I reading about these hunter people?
Kraven gets 1 page an issue. And then
maybe
the Boomerang
but it's not
is
actually Kraven. We're setting it up for a Kraven reveal. It's obvious it's gonna be him, but we don't actually.
Yeah, but we don't actually get that in this, I guess. Yeah, but that felt real classic comic books, and I really appreciated
No, it's in
that.
6.
Okay.
Which is why I thought. Well, maybe they thought it made sense to put it in that trade when I thought it was in that trade.
But no, I love that. That felt so classic comic book. I also want to mention.
But it's modern enough.
Yeah, it doesn't
the
feel.
whole thing doesn't feel throwback.
It doesn't feel throwback.
Like we're using what worked that we haven't used in a long time.
Yes,
it's really nice.
It felt. This feels like a nice return to form of just like classic superhero comics. I love.
And also, it's splashy and it's colorful and it's just a joy to read. Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
I do think. Am I wrong about this? Isn't there a place where the artist changes, or is it always?
No, it's oddly the whole way through.
Okay, I was thinking of something else we read.
It will. I think 6. I think 6 changes.
Oh, maybe that's what I was thinking.
Because
no, that's still oddly. Oh right, no, that's 0. That's 0. Hold on.
Because I know we jump to that guy you hate.
Oh, it's Ramos.
Yes.
He's better here though.
No, he looks better. I flipped to some of those issues. He looks better, and he feels like he's he's trying to not mimic him. But like he's doing a.
This is 7. I don't know where I put 6, but.
It feels like he's doing like a Ryan Otley, not impersonation, but like pastiche.
Oh, you know what? I didn't actually read 6.
Okay. But Ramos kind of looks like he's trying to look stylistically more like Otley to me. I love Otley. I
did read this. Never mind.
Okay.
Never mind. I did read this. It's hilarious. They have a SpiderMan trivia contest, and Peter Parker knows all the answers, and
that's great.
He says them all, and it's great.
But no, I really like Otley, and I've never read Otley before because I don't know. I've technically read a little bit of Otley in Invincible, but that was years and years and years ago. But he feels fresh on Spider-Man, right? Like, I'm not saying it's like a McFarlane thing or anything, but
he's not quintessential or nothing. Or maybe he is. Maybe
I feel like he's quintessential.
it's that he's quintessential. He's not like breaking new ground or
Yeah,
anything.
It just feels right.
I don't like some of his faces.
That's fair.
His Mary Jane bugs me.
Does she?
Oh, yeah.
I like his Mary Jane.
There are some facial expressions that are just too silly to me. I don't like this. Like, this stuff is just silly to me.
No, I like that.
Okay, well, I don't. So
That's fine.
That's just how I feel about it.
I also don't hate Ramos as much as you do.
Yeah. Well, you're just wrong on that, but
But no, I know he jumps artists. Because I've seen some more recent issues. I know he jumps artists, and they're doing that because it's double shipping. But I'm hoping Otley feels like the through line main artist.
yeah, that'd be good. I also think he would look really good on Power Rangers.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, anything else that you're dying to say about that? I had not planned on talking about this one this long.
One
we've
of
got some other
I mean, honestly,
arcs
like
to discuss. But
my biggest complaint with this book is that I have to wait so long to read the second volume. That this is a bi-monthly book, and they're up.
I mean, I got the singles, so you can
That's
read
true.
them. You read them until you get it.
I guess that's true.
I got them.
I could do that.
You did that with Batman.
I did do that with. I could do that. But
Yeah, I've got them. This is going to sound silly. Part of the reason I haven't read any further that I have is because I'm kind of savoring this. Because it's been so long since I liked Spider-Man.
we're building up to a big Kraven the Hunter story. I'm kind of excited for that. And
I don't like Kraven. Like,
I don't
I
either.
love
But
Kraven's
for
Last
some
Hunt,
reason,
but
I'm
it's the
kind
only
of
thing I've ever
excited.
liked,
Something
so
about
I'm not.
it.
I just can't get excited about that.
Okay.
Hopefully he wins me over on it. I hope his Kraven's not too jokey.
Yeah.
After some of the stuff you were talking earlier with Mysterio.
Well, he said that he wants, like, at the halfway point of his first year, which is around where we are now, because it's 24 issues, because he's double shipping. But, like, it's going to take, like, a really dark turn, and I'm assuming that Kraven story is going to be
I
that.
wanted to ask you about this. What did you think of the lizard inhibitor chip that's just straight out of Spider-Man 2? Where it's like somebody just has to take a hammer to that thing and
Well,
it's just
no, it's adamantium.
Okay, but it would be you could knock it off somehow though, right? Like the fact that it's adamantium wouldn't keep it perpetually stuck to his
I'm curious
neck.
to see if we keep doing Lizard, because the way we explained Lizard in this is that he was running tests with that machine, but then they found that machine doesn't work, so he has no reason to keep being Lizard Professor. Like, I'm wondering if
That's
we'll run with that
true.
shtick, even though it doesn't keep making sense. Because
that was really funny, where he's just in lizard mode.
So there's a joke that I don't know whether it's going too far or not. When Taskmaster and Black Ant...
Taskmaster's really funny too.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know, but he is. He's pretty funny.
Taskmaster is Nick Spencer's...
I like Spider-Man's whole thing about his face, where he's like, "Is that a mask? I know at one time it was a mask."
Taskmaster is Nick Spencer's, like, weird, like... It's in everything he writes. Like, he's also in his Captain America, and I'm pretty sure he was in Superior Foes of Spider-Man. Like, he just keeps moving Taskmaster with him. And I think he does that with Boomerang, too. So they make a joke where they're complaining about a spy, and I forget what the spy is wearing. He's like, "Why don't you wear a skin-tight, like black suit, like a respectable spy?" And I was like, I don't know if that's too self-aware or not.
Oh, I don't think it is.
Okay.
I don't think it is. But like I said, it's hard to decide where to draw the line.
Yeah, I don't know. And like, some of these, I don't like the splash thing with Mysterio, but a lot of these, like, it just slows me reading where I'm like, is that joke too far? I just don't know.
Like I said,
and it's because I'm hypersensitive to it because of what Marvel's become.
But at least they're funny.
No, they're funny, and it's fun. It's a joy to read.
I got one more question for you.
Okay.
This is actually not about this
Okay.
book. Well, it is, but it's not. It's not.
For the
about
first time
the
in a
story
decade,
we just
I'm
read.
excited to read Spider-Man comics. That
Yeah,
didn't
because
come out
I'm
a decade
I'm so
prior.
excited. I'm like waiting on it.
Yeah.
Where like I want to read it all together. Like I'm not going month to month. Like, which is weird because like other things I get super excited about. Like I have to see them month to month. But this, like, I don't want to forget anything. Just taking it in.
Yeah.
But anyway, so and I'm wondering how long he'll be on the book. Like I wonder if this will be another like big lengthy 4, 5, 6 years.
I don't think it'll be, because Slott's almost a decade.
No, I mean it won't be that long. But like it's popular. People like it, and I wonder if it's selling as well as Slott. I would be surprised if it was selling much worse than Slott.
I wonder if it's selling better than Slott at this point. Not the big Slott stunt events.
But he was selling like 100,000 an issue. Even outside of the events, man, he was selling close to 100,000 much of the time. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, between 80.
Because I don't think it's selling like Spider-Verse, Spider Island numbers, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was selling better than the majority of Slott's. At least that last, like, people did not like corporate Spider-Man. The Iron Spider-Man thing, people did not like that.
Okay, well maybe it dropped then and I just wasn't looking at numbers. I'm not sure. Maybe it fell off a little bit. But I would be surprised if he wasn't getting close, just because a lot of those people would have stuck around because they just, like... I think Slott did end up attracting a lot of people, but I think Spider-Man's one of those books that, like, people want to read Spider-Man, so if it's good, they'll stay on it. You know what I mean? I don't think a lot of people would have left just because that guy is no longer there. I think they would try the next guy.
I'd be surprised if this isn't a top 10 book.
Yeah. I think it is. I mean, I haven't looked at
like just regularly. I'd imagine it dances around the top 10.
I'm sure the first issue or two were. I looked at that at the time, but it's been a while. Anyway, but what I was going to ask is, do you think that okay, so like a year ago, Secret Empire was infamous? I don't think it will be remembered because of this.
Okay, so here's the thing. So he does Secret Empire, and that is infamous. But you know what he doesn't do? Anything after that. He took almost a full year off. He also left Twitter. Apparently he was like one of those people that like real vocal on Twitter. He stopped doing that.
Because he's smart.
Yeah. And he took a year off and just read all of Spider-Man. I don't think people remember it was Nick Spencer. I think he was really smart getting out of the limelight.
He's a different guy now.
Yeah. Yeah,
this Nick Spencer's not that Nick Spencer to people in their mind.
Yeah. Also,
that's a great point you're making.
Also, Secret Empire is whatever it is. Those Captain Americas were good. I read some of that Captain America stuff. The lead up to it's good, and people like that stuff.
Well, I'm not changing.
It was a fumble at the end, and probably an editorial fumble.
I mean, it was more than a fumble. It was like Bane blowing up the football stadium. I'm not changing my tune on that because I like this stuff. No, it's horrid. I didn't finish it. What I read of it was horrid. I will probably never go back to that. Maybe at some point I'll review it for the heck of it, but I don't really want to because of how wordy it is. And
he's also not doing a lot of interviews either. He did like one. He did a couple like right before it came out.
He's being smart.
Yeah, he is.
And I like that it didn't affect his writing to the point where, like, again, he's trying too hard. Like, he's actually having fun with this. It's not like he just put himself in the right headspace.